Okay, picture this. You're in this really swanky hotel room, way up high, looking out over the city lights,
Hmm.
floor-to-ceiling windows, this amazing view, and like sheer curtains kind of blowing on a private balcony.
Nice. We set some mood.
Totally.
Yeah.
And the air is just thick with, unspoken stuff. We're diving into a story today, a first-hand account from Masala Buzz.
Okay.
It's called He Bent Me Over the Balcony Rail with the City Watching, and I loved every second of it.
Wow. Okay. That's quite a title.
Right. So our mission really is to unpack the sensuality here, the desire, and this thrill of exhibitionism that's right there in the story.
Sounds fascinating. We're looking at what makes these moments so electric, so connecting.
Exactly. Not just reading it, but really digging into those elements.
Well, the first thing that jumps out is the setting, isn't it? It's not just a background.
No, definitely not.
This swanky high-rise, the skyline view, that private balcony, it all builds this feeling of luxury, of escape.
Yeah, like you're somewhere outside normal life.
Exactly. It feels like the usual rules, they just kind of melt away up there with the city laid out beneath you.
And that balcony, it becomes this really interesting space.
How so?
Well, it's private, obviously, for them, but those sheer curtains you mentioned, dancing in the breeze.
Ah, right. There's a hint, isn't there? A possibility of being seen.
Yeah. Even though it's secluded, there's this little hint of exposure. It's like setting a stage, almost, but the audience is blurry, adds this charge.
That's a great way to put it. That tension between private act and, well, potential public gaze is transgression, but maybe just the idea of it. And that juxtaposition, it really amps up the sensuality. It's playing with norms, bending them a bit. That push and pull is exciting.
And it's not like things just started on the balcony, right? The buildup started way earlier.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Those little touches described earlier on.
Yeah, like a brush of his hand on my thigh during lunch, or her fingers casually tracing his belt by the elevator. Tiny things.
But they're not really tiny, are they? They're loaded. Micro-escalations, maybe? They build this real, tangible anticipation.
You can feel it. She even says the tension was thick enough to drown in.
Which is such a powerful image. It shows how those subtle physical cues just electrify the air, making what comes next feel almost, well, inevitable.
Then you add the wine.
Ah, yes, the classic catalyst.
Right. 2 glasses of red wine deep, she says. And by then, she admits she's aching with desire. That word aching, it's so physical, so visceral, like being right on the edge of something amazing.
And the wine probably does more than just, loosen things up socially. It likely magnifies those feelings that are already there.
Lowers the barrier.
Exactly. It sort of gives permission, makes bolder moves seem not just possible, but really tempting. Enhances that whole sensual anticipation.
Okay, so now they're on the balcony. She's leaning on the rail, the cool metal, she calls it.
Right.
And she's just got this barely tied silky robe on, bare size exposed. It's quite the visual.
It's deliberate. An invitation, really, isn't it? And his gaze, dropping to where the robe slipped, that confirms the message was definitely received. You can almost feel that visual tension spark.
And there's this interesting power dynamic, too. He's looking at the city like a man who owned it.
Yeah, that projects this confidence, this control.
But then her comment about enjoying the view, combined with how she's dressed, that's her taking charge, too, in a way.
Absolutely. It's not one-sided. It's this dance of confidence and suggestion, his power and her agency. Adds another layer, doesn't it?
Totally. And then the moment it really shifts, his whispered question.
Let me guess.
Anyone could see us.
Ah, there it is, making it explicit.
Exactly. That's where the exhibitionism really comes into play. And her response, maybe I want them to.
Okay, wow, that's the turning point. That unlocks a whole different level of arousal, adding that element of risk.
You got it. That verbal nod changes everything. The idea of being watched, even if it's just a maybe, turns this private moment into something thrillingly forbidden.
It introduces voyeurism, even if it's just imagined voyeurism. And yeah, that risk can be a powerful aphrodisiac.
And from that point, things escalate fast physically. His hands on her waist, then cupping her breasts through the silk. Then the robe just falls away.
It's like a cascade of touch, each sensation building, intensifying. Very physical.
And the details she gives are so sensory.
Like what?
The contrast of his warm and strong hands, her nipples hardening instantly, the night air on her bare skin versus the heat of his mouth on her neck.
Ooh, yeah. Those descriptions really pull you into her physical experience, makes it almost tangible for the listener, really heightens the sensuality of it all.
And then that command, So direct. Bend over.
Right.
And her thought, God, I love when he takes control like that. It says so much about what she wants, that power exchange, the surrender.
And that's the moment the exhibitionism really peaks, isn't it? Brent over the rail, exposed to the city lights.
Yeah, she explicitly says it. Somehow that made it even hotter. And then we were exposed. We were seen.
Even if they weren't literally seen, the feeling of it is key. The thrill isn't just the sex. It's that added layer of vulnerability of potential observation.
And the sensory stuff just keeps coming. The feel of the cool metal again, his warm hands being parted, the descriptions of the oral sex.
Very vivid.
Yeah. Licking, sucking, flicking his tongue. It's intense. Paints a very clear picture.
Those details are crucial, aren't they? They convey just how deep her arousal and pleasure go, and the sounds she mentions.
Oh yeah, the moans, the gasps, the slapping of skin, his groan.
It makes it so immediate, so immersive. You're right there, feeling and hearing the intimacy.
But it's really important, I think, to point out the consent here. It's woven all the way through.
Absolutely crucial, especially when you're talking about power dynamics and exhibitionism.
Her thoughts, and I loved every second of it. God, I love when he takes control. And her words, like just saying, yours, this body's yours. It's very clear this is wanted, enjoyed.
Yes, enthusiastically wanted. Her pleasure, her active participation. That's fundamental. It frames the whole thing as consensual, empowering for her, and deeply sensual.
And it doesn't just end there, does it? Even after all that intensity on the balcony.
There's more.
Well, there's the immediate desire for more, the planning, that closing line. Next time, we try the rooftop.
Ooh. Okay, so escalating things even further.
It feels like it. It really speaks to how exhilarating they found it, the shared exploration, maybe even a bit addictive, that thrill.
Yeah, suggests it wasn't just a one-off. It sparked something, this shared desire to push those boundaries, explore sensuality and exposure together. Hints at a connection built on that.
So yeah, we've kind of walked through this whole intense mix. Desire, the setting being so important, the power of touch escalating, and then that jolt of electricity from being potentially seen.
Mm-hmm. It all comes together in this story to create something incredibly sensual, really exciting.
It really makes you think, doesn't it, about how much our surroundings can influence desire. Putting intimacy somewhere unique, maybe a bit forbidden. How does that amplify things?
Yeah, and what is it about that possibility of being seen that can be so intensely arousing for some people? It's fascinating.
Definitely leaves you wondering about, how our own boundaries and desires can cross in ways we don't expect, ways that are maybe surprisingly thrilling. Perhaps listening to this makes you think about what lights your fire, sensually speaking, what elements create that connection for you. Maybe the unexpected places where desire can really catch you off guard.